Hey everyone, have you ever had that feeling that almost nothing is really worth putting serious effort into anymore lately? Well, if you have, you're not alone. Of course, if you tell people, I just don't see the point in anything anymore, they'll probably automatically assume something along the way that you must be depressed, or maybe you're having some sort of a burnout, or maybe it's some sort of hormonal issues. What else? Or a midlife crisis, right? Some kind of a trauma. Or maybe you're just thinking about life backwards in general, like the wrong way. But I've been thinking about it, and what if that feeling of meaninglessness isn't your individual disorder, so to say? What if it's actually a pretty much predictable result of the kind of environment we all live in today? So, what if people stopped feeling meaning, not because their minds are like broken, but because the system itself of this constant stimulation that we're all surrounded by slowly destroys the very mechanisms that create meaning in the first place? You know what I mean? So once you sort of look at it that way, the question completely sort of changes. Instead of asking, what's wrong with me? You start asking, why does this world feel this way today for more and more people, I would say? So, yeah, that's the topic I wanted to talk about today. The way I look at it, meaning isn't an emotion. It only emerges when several conditions sort of come together, right, at the same time. If there's one thing I've come to understand that's completely 100% sure, guys, like meaning doesn't come from pleasure, that's for sure. Like, I would say on the contrary, it probably comes more from resistance. And see, the number one problem with our society today is that modern culture has almost completely confused pleasure with meaning. Have you noticed that? Just think about it. Like for thousands of generations, people lived in a world that constantly sort of pushed back against them, right? If you wanted food, you had to overcome obstacles. You had to hunt the mammoth, like so to say, metaphorically or literally. Like your brain essentially has built a very strong connection. Like you put in effort and you receive something valuable, right? So it's sort of like the effort itself that creates the feeling of value. You know what I mean? Like people naturally value what they've invested themselves in. So modern life does the exact opposite. Like look at all the entertainment, like music, movies, social media, food, shopping. I don't know. Of course, everything sort of delivers this instant gratification, right? And everything has become accessible. But see, the problem is almost everything has lost its value. And that's exactly why so little feels like truly so meaningful anymore. Have you noticed that? Like, remember, even in the 90s, like, just how different things felt. Of course, if you take like 100 years ago, there was a huge gap between like wanting something and actually getting it. People could probably dream about traveling for years, like wait months for some sort of a letter, right, to come from a loved one. Spend weeks looking forward to seeing someone. Today, almost every desire is just fulfilled instantly, just like that. So the moment you feel an impulse, seconds later it's satisfied. Like take sexual desire. And of course you have pornography. It's just one example. So our brain starts operating through these endless short feedback loops. And see that, in my view, the scariest thing is like little by little, it loses the ability to invest attention into processes that like take years to unfold, right? So what am I really trying to say here? The very things that have historically been the biggest source and sources of meaning for people are exactly these long-term processes. But people lost they lost the emotional sort of ability to stay committed to long-term goals. You know what I mean? So for a lot of people, they just feel too slow, like too distant, unrealistic. Instead, people constantly switch directions, like chasing immediate results. Like every new project feels exciting, right? Right up until the first serious obstacle or the first real disappointment. And then the thought shows up, well, maybe it's not my thing, you know what I mean? Like relatable, right? Even though the problem, again, isn't with the project itself, probably, it's the way our entire systems of expectations have been rewired, guys. So, meaning is a thing that sort of always exists somewhere ahead of a person, right? It lives in the form of a possibility that hasn't been realized yet. Like I don't know, take becoming wealthy, discovering a new world, moving to a new country. Doesn't really matter. As long as someone genuinely believes there's something fundamentally different waiting for them in the future, something they've never probably experienced before, and then that belief creates the energy to move forward. Just think about it, right? Gives you motivation. And now look at modern culture. It's like you've already seen almost everything. That's it. Before you even get there, you've seen it, right? Like every city is on Google Maps. It's been filmed by thousands of vloggers. Every dream has already been visualized through like YouTube and social media. You can almost feel like you've lived this life of a millionaire, right? You probably went inside like hundreds of mansions, different influencers, and you've watched countless of these influencers again. But that creates a strange effect, what I would call like you consume the future even before you ever experience it for yourself. So your brain starts treating the future as something that's already been partially lived by you, don't you think? It's like novelty disappears in everything before the experience even happens. Whew. Just think about it. Now, again, multiply that by something else. The collapse of overall identity, I would say, like a few generations ago, the answer to the question, who am I mean, was pretty much predetermined, right? I mean, sure, you had far less freedom in a way. Your culture, your religion, your inner circle, your profession, your entire way of life, was inherited. You didn't really choose. But at the same time, I would say it dramatically reduced uncertainty. So today it's the exact opposite. We have more and more freedoms, of course, and with this price, I talked about it in a previous episode. Every choice sort of, it automatically like feels like you're losing hundreds of other possibilities. So every decision starts coming with doubt. Like, what if there is a better option? I call this the chronic feeling of the life you didn't live. And you know what? Honestly, I think that's one of the defining characteristics of our time. You're constantly confronted with all the versions of your life that you never chose or you never lived. Like social media reminds you every single day, doesn't it? All the influencers. And as a result, that feeling of sort of inner completeness disappears. So for a modern person, every identity feels like temporary. Every career feels accidental. Every city feels like a stop along the way. Yeah. Like everything just feels, replaceable. Like temporary. And what happens when everything becomes replaceable? Well, eventually your own existence starts feeling replaceable too. I think that meaning is deeply connected to value, guys. Like throughout history, things were valuable because they were rare. A university degree, right? Traveling to other countries. Like a really nice car. Those used to be like powerful status signals. Again, take mass production and consumerism. They have stripped almost every achievement of its uniqueness. Like take anything, I don't know. See, and the moment a goal becomes ordinary, something everyone can have, it stops giving you that same feeling of significance. So you finally get what you've been chasing and immediately realize that nobody is really impressed with this crap. Relatable. So you start looking for the next thing. That's why, if we're being honest, people today, objectively, I mean, they do achieve far more than previous generations, yet subjectively experience far less satisfaction, I would say, and far less meaning from those same achievements. And if we're talking about values themselves, something even bigger has happened in the past. In the past, the most limited resources were land, energy, capital. Now take today, the scarcest resource is attention. Like every digital platform exists for one primary reason. Its job is to keep your attention for as long as possible, right? So the more attention it captures, the more valuable is advertising, subscriptions, sales, whatever. So that means modern algorithms evolve, right? Like I almost think of them as living organisms, as kind of like creatures. So if a certain type of content holds people's attention, it spreads. Well, if it doesn't, it just disappears. But the problem is, what captures human attention like most easily? It's conflict, right? It's like fear, outrage. It's again sexuality, sexual stimulation. Like, the thing is, people find deeper meaning through completely, different processes. In my view, it's like deep engagement, consistency, right? So again, there's an obvious conflict in our society. It's like you lose meaning and focus, and everything is done so you lose meaning. Like everything is optimized for the mechanics of attention and not the mechanics of meaning. You know what I mean? Like, have you noticed how everything started to feel shallow? Have you? What's interesting is that I think most people, they barely even notice it because everything around them, seems sort of interesting, right? I guess something constantly grabs, your attention. Stuff happens. But at the same time, like almost nothing becomes truly important. Like, oh, okay, cool, nice, scroll, scroll, scroll. And you know what I think, honestly? I think our emotional systems have been burned out for a long time now, guys. We just didn't notice it. We just didn't notice it happening. Like, think about it. Everything you're exposed to today, thousands of stimuli that used to be incredibly rare. Again, like exotic countries. Remember how fascinating, even those very first YouTube travel vlogs were. Like the luxury cars, perfect bodies. Now these juiced up fitness influencers, it's all like normal, It's like back in the day, if you saw a bodybuilder in your hometown, right? It was mesmerizing. Just think about it. Or like if you saw somebody riding a sports car, you were like, wow, Then again, take these extravagant stories flooding Instagram, some real, plenty of them fake. Again, your nervous system adapts. That's what it does. And what happens is just like pure emotional inflation, right? You just don't give a crap. Things once felt extraordinary, slowly becoming boring. And that's actually a very scary thing, guys. It's very scary. Like, to experience the same level of excitement, you need stronger and stronger stimulation, right? As a result, your real life starts looking plain. I mean, dull by comparison. That's why I keep saying, like, Instagram is really, I mean, dude, it's like really dangerous technology. Because today, a huge part of your life consists of short, self-contained cycles as is. A video lasts a minute, a post takes a minute to read, a news story lives like for a day to, and that's it. Everybody forgets about it, right? All the entertainment is designed for these short emotional spikes, the constant scrolling. So eventually life starts feeling like thousands of these fragments, disconnected. And again, all while containing none like of the large meaningful stories, you know what I mean? But once again, those large stories are where the meaning comes from, right? Even historically, meaning was created, again, collectively, in a way, the community, whatever. When someone went through some sort of hardship, the group constantly reminded them that they mattered. People depended on one another, and they were sort of like integrated. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. I like that word, integrated. Today, you can change your job, your city, your state, your friends, just like that, instantly. Like even a country. Yesterday you were here, today I am here. Yeah. So social circles have become incredibly fluid. You're not integrated into anything anymore. And all of this is happening in our days against the backdrop of what I call the collapse of, again, the big stories, the collective myths. So, I mean, what I mean by it is like virtually every civilization was built around a shared explanation of why human beings exist, right? So religion answered those questions, ideology. Take even science to some extent, remember, also offered this grand narrative, the endless progress of humanity. And again, what happened to scientific progress? It stopped. Have you noticed that, guys? It's kind of like, that's it. Progress stopped. Take the American dream, which is long dead. Modern life dismantled all those shared myths. So, yeah, it gave us sort of intellectual freedom, right? But it created this vacuum. When this common story disappears, every individual has to create meaning for themselves. But creating your own meaning is, much, much harder, right? Like, let me ask you, what's your meaning, guys? Tell me. For me, here's what I've realized. Most advice about finding meaning in life sounds almost exactly the same. Find your love, do what you're passionate about, go traveling, do this, that, meditate, be grateful, practice gratitude. Problem is, none of that really solves anything. Because meaning isn't the result of an event, right? It's rather like a property of the entire system. The system you built your life around. And if your daily life is organized in a way that, constantly destroys the very mechanisms that create this long-term motivation, then no single book, no trip, no meditation practice is going to change that. That's why the solution, in my view, is to be systemic. It's very important, right? You can almost find meaning in that alone. Like, honestly, this might be the most important thing I've learned, I guess. And you know what? Stop making happiness your primary goal. I know that sounds strange. Every vlogger is, showing you happiness. Have you noticed? Everyone around you keeps saying, smile, why are you so sad? Smile, be happy. What I've noticed, the harder someone tries to constantly feel happy, the more they start sort of monitoring their emotional state. Am I happy? Do I feel better? Every one of those internal checkups just pulls you deeper into this state of depression. So if I was to give any advice to anyone, I don't know, don't chase happiness, guys. Rather, indulge in activities that are systematic and are in some way aligned with your values. If you're steadily working toward the goals you've set for yourself, that's what really matters. What makes that possible? Again, discipline. Have you noticed? That's why a lot of people, like our days, they try to find meaning in that alone, in discipline. Then you might ask, okay, but what kind of goals should I actually have? In my humble opinion, again, most of the goals people set are simply too short term. Try to have at least one project in your life that objectively cannot be finished quickly, right? Try to become genuinely exceptional at something. I don't know, like writing a serious book, mastering a musical instrument, perhaps. A lot of people go into sports nowadays, hence all these fitness gurus. Even raising children is one of those lifelong projects. But if I had to share the sort of biggest lesson, again, I've learned from all this, I would say limit your choice. The more choice we have, the better a life will be, right? That's what we're being told, but choice is exhausting. So accepting limitations, in my view, I think is important. And honestly, I don't think there's much that's more powerful than that. Probably alone. Those limitations can apply to almost everything. Like really, if you say to yourself, for the next 3 years, I'm not going to change a place. I'm going to stick to one city, one state, or I'm going to stay at one job rather than, searching for a perfect gig or for a perfect city or state. So, limitations, of course, can feel like you're giving up freedom, but very often they are exactly what frees up your mental energy. Again, limits can be on what you eat, right? It's on the information you consume. Again, limits on social media, like even limits on your wardrobe. So I guess just consciously limiting your choice. It's one of the strongest foundations for a meaningful life. I know that sounds strange, right? I'm not in no place to, give out advice. But I would say, yeah, do that. And real relationships, long-term goals, that's for me personally. And like I said, limitations. Of course, none of these things give you instant euphoria. But then again, I hope over time, they are precisely the foundation that sort of quietly rebuilds something much deeper. I guess maybe one day, almost without realizing, if you wake up and discover that your desire to live and your desire to keep moving forward has come back and you feel livelier than ever, maybe it's because of that. Anyway, yeah, I think that's enough for today. That's one topic I wanted to discuss with you guys. I really appreciate it if you listened to the end. Yeah, thank you for your attention.